Today, we're really lucky to have with us an analyst, consultant, and thought leader, Charles Reed Anderson. He's going to talk about some emerging trends in AI, debunking industry hype from reality, and how event professionals can effectively leverage AI.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there because, let's face it, events can be a little bit tough. You get loads of content, it can be quite overwhelming. Sometimes you get very engaging speakers, sometimes less engaging. You can have language difficulties. So how do you keep people really tuned in? And we recently just tested this out. I was doing an event for Samsung up in Vietnam, and you may know like their new phone, the S24, has AI built into the phone. And what somebody did while I was doing my, unfortunately, very long 45-minute keynote, they sat there and they recorded it on the phone, and then they ran it through the voice to text, and then they clicked AI Assist, and it immediately produced a summary of my presentation. And I think that's genius, because if someone wants to find out what I talked about, now they don't have to waste 45 minutes of their life to go back and like, watch me ramble up on stage. They can actually get a brief summary of what I discussed and my main points. Suddenly, from that same summary, you can then do one other click, and it actually translates it into the local language. So what you're doing is making sure that the content is reaching the audience in the form factor that's most comfortable for them. And a lot of times that would be their native language.
100%. And I even often think, even if the Congress or the meeting or the event is going to be in English, just making that native language available, whether that native speaker is going to use that or not, sends a message to them. It's welcoming. It's a part of personalization and community building and letting them know that their voice matters and you care about their preferences, right? A lot of value to the end user there. I'd like to kind of turn the conversation over to utilizing pre and post-event data to the benefit of future events. And there's one thing about AI that I find that's really interesting. A lot of people will come to the table and the question is, what about AI? In other words, they're inventing new problems simply to leverage AI.
So I think you have to start looking at it from the point of registration. What information can you capture about that person? Once you know who they are, you're probably going to have access to their LinkedIn profiles. You can then create almost like a little box that says, this is the summary of this attendee. And then what you can do is start understanding what areas of interest do they have, what do we have at the event, and you can almost start tailoring the content to them in advance. For instance, you might say, if I'm interested in Internet of Things, there's a presentation at 2 o'clock by John on this stage, you might want to attend that. And instead of just giving them the full access to all the event presentations, you can then start tailoring and help them guide their journey through the event. And as this evolves, it can become a lot more interactive as well for the attendees, because you could, instead of saying, give me a summary of all the attendees, you could say, find me people who are similar to me or have the same interests as me. And you can almost create these small breakout groups. So when you have your networking sessions in the afternoon, you can almost set up tables on themes or on locations where people are from, if it's a larger global or regional event.
Right. And what I love about that is a lot of those things that you were discussing just now also ladder up to community building, which is an incredibly important component to galvanizing your audience and making them feel like they're a part of something. They belong to something, and therefore everything will be more relevant and resonant to them that follows.
And it allows you to really just, like I said, make it much more personal. It becomes their event instead of just an event that they're attending.
If people were going to take away 1, 2 key insights that you think could benefit all events and experiences, what would that be?
I would start with the content, because as someone who presents at a lot of events, I wish I could get better use of my content. If you start creating those small language models and allow people to access the data and query the data and turn it into insights for them, that becomes more valuable, and it's valuable for the event host, it's valuable for the attendee and the speaker or the person who's generating the content. Now, this I think is also going to be very valuable for your event host and the people who sponsor the events, because now suddenly you have an engaged audience. You're going to understand more about what they want. So when you want to design your events for the future, or maybe even create a whole new track based on people's preferences, it gives you that data to make informed decisions.
And in a way, what that does is it allows you to bring to bear the idea that it may be one event, but it's 1,000 unique experiences or journeys, right? Whatever that audience capacity is, every single one of them are having a unique experience that's catering specifically to them. And that should be the ultimate goal.